Why don't you do an intro and then we'll talk about the weed you're smoking?
Did you just suggest we do an intro at the beginning of recording?
Stranger things have happened. It's got to be that I'm eating this pasta salad because I'm high and hungry.
Oh, yum.
And it's making me think smart things like we should do an intro before we start the podcast instead of after.
There you go. Pasta salad is brain food. You heard it here, folks.
It's witchcraft.
Hey, it's 4:20 a.m. Hi, and welcome to episode 32 of the Stoned Witches Hour with Chelle and Laylla. Grab a seat, pack a bowl, turn on a few extra lights, because Chelle and I are going to be telling you spooky stories, ghoulish crimes, and creepy paranormal things. Grab your bong, grab your stash,
Grab your pasta salad.
and hang out with us while two best friends on opposite coasts of the USA tell each other super scary stories and hopefully have a good time and smoke some great pot. On the West Coast this evening, I am Laylla.
I got the munchies, but I'm Chelle with the munchies on the East Coast eating pasta salad.
Ooh, pasta salad is delicious. What is your particular flavor of pasta salad? I've discovered in my travels that it seems like every state or every region has their own version of what is supposed to go in a pasta salad. What, Chelle, is yours?
Okay. First of all, the noodles have to be seashell noodles.
The spiral veggie pasta seems to also be popular.
Yeah, the ones that are different colors.
Yeah. But you like a seashell noodle.
I do.
Okay.
It's a weird thing.
Hey, it holds good sauce.
It does. And cut up little tiny tomatoes. It doesn't matter if they're cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes or whatever.
Yummy,
just
yummy.
little tomatoes.
Okay.
Cut up black cheese is a must. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
have it without cheese.
Gotta have the cheese. A lot. The more
better.
cheese, the better.
If you're wondering if you have too much cheese, the answer is keep putting more in.
Yeah, more cheese.
Pepperoni. Love pepperoni. And then this is something that not everybody's fancy to, but I like black olives.
So good.
And then what we did this time, which actually was like awesome, we put in red peppers and then chopped up fresh sweet basil.
Ooh, that you just kicked it up a notch with the sweet basil. That's delicious. If Chelle turns into like a top chef contestant, you know she's been smoking something good because she has wicked munchies. So what type of weed do you have? What are you smoking, Chelle? What has given you such amazing munchies for the day?
I have this stuff called, it's brand new. I've never even heard of it before. And sometimes, I just buy shit based on the funny name.
I'm with you on that.
This is called Bubblegum Yum.
Oh, okay. That is a fun name.
And it does have a little bit of a sweet taste. Like I can't even put my finger on it, but it's a little sweet. I just can't tell you like what kind of sweet, but it gives you the munchies like nobody's freaking business. Like you're high as shit, but you are ready to eat.
Is it pink at all? I have seen some pink cultivars lately.
No, it's just green. Looks like the same old, same old. Pretty greenish. Little bit of whitey crystal color. Smooth smoke. Tastes delicious.
There you go. Hey, sounds pretty good. What's the THC on that one?
Oh, this is 31%. Come on. Don't
Oh, wow. Nice. Nice. Now, I've been, let's see, what did you call it? It was bubblegum yum?
Yeah. And it's making those pasta salad yum.
Bubblegum yum. Let me see. Okay. Now, see, here's what I don't understand. I'm trying to find THC percentages because, I'm interested. And what I'm smoking tonight is just some homegrown. I'm smoking Gorilla Glue, GG number 4.
That's good stuff.
It is. And I guess you can't call it Gorilla Glue anymore.
Why? I still don't get.
Oh, well, it's a name, it's a brand name, and they don't want their brand associated with weed. So what I do usually is go on Leafly because I don't test my own shit. So I go on Leafly and try to take a look and see what it says. And it says here on Leafly that the Gorilla Glue is 20%. Now, they get their input from lots of different places, and I tend to kind of trust them. I think they're on the up and up. They try. But if I look at Gorilla Glue number 4 from the breeder or from a dispensary that's selling that particular cultivar, they say 25 to 30% THC. Who's right? And this bubblegum yum, what's the percentage that the dispensary said?
31.
Okay, on Leafly and on Canna Connection, they say 15 to 17%.
Well, how? That's like half.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Who's
Like
right?
literally half.
How are we supposed to trust anybody when the THC content is so...
Isn't even it.
Who's testing it? Like, I guess I need to start asking for testing certificates. Like, where was this tested? Who tested it? And can I see the certificate? Because I don't believe anybody anymore.
And then you get these people who are like, well, it's different batch to batch and grow to grow. Well, if that's the case, then why are you saying it's one or the other?
Then test it batch to batch. Test it grow to grow. You know, tell me what this batch tested at.
Right.
Because you and I both know that the Gorilla Glue that I'm growing right now, if it's from a seed from the same breeder, going to be the same thing. But you could pick up some Gorilla Glue clones from some dispensary down the street, and you and I might be growing extremely
Totally different. Yep.
Different plants. And it will come up with different tastes, different terpene profiles. It's the Wild West out here. We don't know what the genetics are.
I feel like we're being lied to.
Absolutely, especially when some people, Chelle, always reach for that high THC. I wonder if we're completely being lied to, and they're just adding an extra 10% on there to make people, so they can charge higher prices.
Yeah.
Because what's the top shelf there? 60 an eighth?
60 an eighth, yep.
Yeah, I see top shelf around here go 60 an eighth, and then we hear wildly varying prices. Like some places in New York and in upstate California, it's 30 for an eighth for top shelf.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on where you're at.
There you go. Yep. That's sad.
It is sad. So don't buy it. Don't believe the THC content. Ask your bud tender, and if they're good, they'll tell you. Who tested it, when, and was it this batch or was it like some
batch?
Right, exactly. And maybe I really need to look into getting a test kit of my own. You know, actually test my own weed so I'll know for sure. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm smoking some Gorilla Glue, and depending on who you believe, it's either a 20% THC or up to like a 35% THC. I don't know. It's pretty stony though, I'll give you that.
That's good, but I'm just so confused about, I mean, half, that's like so varying.
Yeah. And keep in mind that these online places, they take their input from multiple sources and they kind of aggregate it. You know, people submit their information. And like we said, varying batches will have varying THC concentrations.
You just don't know how accurate it really is.
Right, exactly. Unless you know that batch has been tested and they have a certificate for it. And some places will. So don't always reach for the top shelf just because it says 33% THC. Make them prove it and, you know, get something yummy anyway.
You get me every time on that. Just because it says it, don't believe it.
You've felt the effects though.
Yeah.
You trust them because you smoke that, and you as an experienced smoker feel it. You know what a 30% THC feels compared to a 20.
But the thing is, unfortunately, is you don't have the opportunity to check it until after you've paid your $60 an eighth.
Right, which is another good reason to make sure you know your place, know your bud tenders, know your plug. Trust your plug.
We actually just got back from Spirit Halloween.
Really? What'd you get at Spirit Halloween?
This was just a fact-finding mission trip.
Smart. I like that. You go in, you see what's there, you suss out the prices.
Right.
Do a little comparison shopping, a little thinking. You can't go in there hungry for a costume, you know, because you'll be buying everything. Ooh, I love this headdress. Oh, that broom looks amazing. Look at this cloak. It's Stranger Things. Oh my God.
And before you know it, you spent $300 and you still don't really have a full costume.
No, you have no full costume. What's up? Cool shit, but no full costume. Yeah. So it's I like that. I like that you went in on a fact-finding mission.
Well, I told you we're going to Bora's Boo Bash, right?
That's so cool. I don't know if you did or not, but oh my God, you're going to Bora's Boo Bash?
We are.
Bitch.
So
I hate you both.
we're trying to figure out, we're like, because of course there's a costume contest.
Of course, of course.
And we're like, what would be unique that no one else would do?
That's a tough one. That's tough.
Everybody's witches, everybody's murderers, every TV show currently on, everybody's doing that.
Of course, of course.
Everybody's a vampire.
Yes, always a popular
Pirate.
Pirate. Oh, pirates are fun.
So you know what we've decided?
What did you decide?
We are going to go as Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus.
What? That's not scary. Chelle, hold on. Why
It's
is
not supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be different and something no one else. It's not a costume that's going to be duplicated.
that's true? True.
Wants to do an S&M Santa and Mrs. Claus.
That's more fun. I like an S&M, Mr. and Mrs. Claus. That's
We
hot.
talked about some handcuffs and and ball gags.
You could do a zombie Mr. and Mrs. Claus. I mean, how else have they survived for so long?
Because they've gone through Jack Skellington's Tree of Holidays in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's that idea. And I'm sure there will be a lot of Jacks and Sallys.
We've done that.
Always a good couple choice.
And when we were in a bar, we were like one of four.
Right. Exactly. And you just don't want that. What about like a murderous Santa and Mrs. Claus? What's Mrs. Claus' first name anyway? Do we know?
I don't even know.
She doesn't even have a first name?
I don't think so.
What kind of patriarchal bullshit is that? Mrs. Claus doesn't have that can't be right. That can't be right. Mrs. Claus has got to have a first name.
Google that shit.
What is Mrs. Claus's first name?
Mary.
This makes no sense.
What is it?
Oh, yeah, okay. Other names are Mary, Gertrude, and Carol.
Gertrude?
Sometimes Holly. Is he married to multiple people? If you go by the Christmas special, the 1970s Christmas special, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Her name is Jessica. She was that pretty redheaded girl in town. So what? I'm more confused than I was before.
Well, I was thinking Mary because of Merry Christmas or Mary, the mother of that, whatever his name is, Jesus.
Oh, that's cute. I like Mary, like Merry Christmas. I like that. I think I like Holly. I think I've decided.
Holly Claus?
Holly Claus. Oh, wow. Oh, look at this. Oh, in the Mrs. Claus Heroes Wiki fandom, Mrs. Claus or Mother Christmas, let's see, generally acts as the primary caretaker, blah, blah, blah. Mrs. Claus's first name is largely a mystery, although, listen to this, Jessica, Mary, Laylla, and
Ooh.
Martha are the most referenced names.
How is Laylla Christmassy?
I have no idea. I don't know why Mrs. Claus would be in a Heroes Wiki, so, take that for what it's worth. But, yeah, Laylla. Laylla Claus.
Laylla Claus.
I don't know. That. Do you remember the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, that Christmas special, the stop motion? Jessica. Yeah. I'll go with Jessica. They probably got it right.
Yeah, probably.
She was cute. She was adorable. Kris Kringle and Jessica. Yeah. I don't know.
Holly's a good one, though.
Holly is a good one. So is Mary. I like Merry, Merry Christmas. That's cute. Mary Claus. That's adorable. I don't know. Maybe our listeners have an idea. It's not even close to Christmas yet. Why the fuck are we talking about Christmas? Oh, because you're going as Mr. and Mrs. Claus. It's your fault we got on this tangent.
It is.
And the weed I'm smoking.
Well, there's that.
So what are you talking about today, Chelle?
I am actually going to talk about the Lincoln Park Zoo.
A zoo?
A zoo.
Wait a minute. Is a haunted zoo? Are you kidding me?
It's let me step back a second. I'm actually going to talk about two things in Lincoln Park. There is a park in Chicago called Lincoln Park. Don't be confused with the band Lincoln Park.
Okay.
And in Lincoln Park, there is the Lincoln Park Zoo, haunted. And then there's also what was called Suicide Bridge.
Oh, and it's in the same area?
Yeah, it's all within the same park, Lincoln Park.
Ooh, another haunted bridge. I bet that's haunted as fuck.
Yeah, because, if you're going to call it Suicide Bridge, I'm sure you can imagine...
It's got a history.
The backstory here.
Yeah. Interestingly, I am also talking about a multi-part story that's also a place. I'm going to be talking about something called the most haunted hotel in Los Angeles,
Ooh.
that according to Esquire magazine was popularly called America's Hotel Death,
Oh,
the Cecil Hotel.
yikes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a very, very haunted place, and it has been home to hundreds of deaths, two serial killers,
Damn.
multiple suicides, unexplained deaths, homicides, and it became famous in 2013 when a young woman named Elisa Lam checked in and unfortunately met her end there.
Didn't check out.
That's right.
Yikes.
Yeah. Sounds like we have some pretty interesting places to talk about this evening.
We do. And, I wanted to kind of veer away from cryptids, and I also wanted to kind of veer away from my coastal roots. So I ended up with a cool story out of Chicago.
I love it. You're branching out, but you left behind your cryptids. I know how much mean to you.
We will be circling back to cryptids. Don't you worry. We will be circling back.
You always get me with those. They're like the creepiest, funniest, coolest stories. I love them.
So we'll be circling back to cryptids.
Yes, we will. That's true. But yeah, haunted locations today. I'm pretty stoked. You've been going first a lot. Maybe I'll go first this time.
Why don't you lay it on me?
Oh, okay. I'm so excited. This hotel is so creepy. I don't know if you remember, but one of the many coincidences, creepy things around this haunted hotel is we actually talked about it in a previous episode briefly. It was episode 2 where I talked about the Black Dahlia.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia, one of the places she was supposedly last seen was in the bar of the Cecil Hotel.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this hotel is super creepy and very, very haunted. It became kind of famous in 2013 because in January of that year, 21-year-old Canadian student Elisa Lam checked in, and part of the Cecil Hotel at that time had hostel accommodations, like hostel style, where people could come in and stay in like dormitory style rooms very inexpensively. And so she was traveling around the US and she stayed there and had other roommates. But the hotel started getting complaints from her roommates that Elisa was acting odd and that they were getting kind of threatening letters from her. So they moved her out of that group room and into a room by herself. And on that same day, January 31st, when she got moved into her own room, she was declared missing.
Yeah.
She wasn't found until 3 weeks later. On February 19th, guests started to complain that there was low water pressure and the water was coming out all brown and foul smelling. Some of them said it tasted bad.
Oh, tasted bad.
Tasted bad. They're brushing their teeth with it and showering in it and drinking it. Everyone was reporting that it was bad. One couple even got moved to another room because the water was so foul. And they said the water problems continued in the other room and they complained again. That's when the hotel sent a maintenance worker up to the roof to check the water tanks. He opened up one of the water tanks and in it he found Elisa Lam's body.
Oh, God. Oh.
She was floating naked in the tank. Her clothes were floating beside her, and her phone was nowhere near her. Her phone was actually never found.
How do you get in those tanks?
That's part of the mystery. There's an alarm to get on the roof, and apparently there's also an alarm that trips if the cistern lid is open, if the hatch is opened. None of those went off. The hatch was closed. The maintenance worker had to open it, and the water level was too low for her to have reached back up and closed the hatch behind her. So nobody knows how it got closed, how she got in there, why was she naked, and where was her phone?
Well, obviously she didn't crawl in there on her own.
Well, that's not what the police said. But to make things even more mysterious, before they found her body, they released footage of her in the elevator of the hotel. And she was acting very oddly. She was pushing multiple buttons at once, and she was
alone.
She was alone, and she was gesticulating wildly, like her arms were waving, like she was arguing with someone. And she would frequently stick her head out of the doors, like she was looking for someone or she was hiding from someone, and she appeared to be arguing with someone that you couldn't see. She had also made reference on her blog to creepers and being worried about people attacking her. And again, there were those weird letters that she had written to her roommates and her odd behavior then. So at the time, people were speculating that, no one knew at that time where she was. They couldn't find her. There was no footage of her leaving the hotel. So they knew that she had to be somewhere there, but they just couldn't find her. They had even checked the roof, but because the alarms had not gone off, they didn't suspect that she was there. Some people, the internet went nuts with this video, and people analyzed everything. They found her Pinterest, her Instagram, they found everything about her online and started to try and figure out what had happened. And some people looked into the history of the Cecil Hotel because it has a very, very dark past. And they thought maybe it was ghosts or something like that had haunted her. Some people even speculated that she was playing the elevator game.
What's that?
It's a game where supposedly you can get sucked into another dimension, which kind of, yeah. There's even instructions online.
Yeah, how come we haven't done this before?
It's very creepy and very scary. It sounds like an elevator version of Bloody Mary. Basically what this game is you have to go in alone. Some say you can do it with friends, but most say you have to be alone. You're supposed to go into any building that has more than 10 floors and go directly to the elevator. Once in the elevator, you have to enter on the first floor, and you cannot do it if anyone else is with you. And first, you have to press the button for the 4th floor. When it gets there, don't get out, press the button for the 2nd floor. When it gets to the 2nd floor, stay in the elevator, press the button for the 6th floor. When you get to the 6th floor, go back to the 2nd floor. Then, when you get to the 2nd floor, press the button for the 10th floor. From the 10th, go to the 5th. And once you're at the 5th, a young woman's supposed to enter the elevator, but you're not supposed to look at her or talk to her, even though she might talk to you and she might look familiar.
Okay.
She is not what she seems. Now, according to The Ghost in My Machine, they say at this point, stay in the elevator and press the button for the 1st floor. If you remember, we're on the 5th.
Right.
If you haven't gotten lost, press the button for the 1st floor. At this point, there's 2 things that could happen. You could either go to the 1st floor, which means it's failed, in which case you're supposed to get out without looking back and immediately leave the building, and you can try some other day. Or if it worked, instead of going to the 1st floor that you pushed, it'll go up to the 10th floor. And if you want to stop, you have to push any other button before it reaches the 10th floor and get out before it reaches the 10th floor if you chicken out. If you don't chicken out at this point, don't talk to the woman. She'll again try to talk to you. When it gets to the 10th floor and the doors open, leave without talking to the woman and don't look back. And you'll know that you've entered a whole separate realm because there's no one else there but you.
How do you get back?
You have to go back to the same elevator and then repeat a whole bunch of button pushings and more crazy stuff. So some people speculated that she was playing this game. She was playing this game and that it actually worked and she got transported to another dimension. But she did get found in the cistern, even if it's kind of unexplained how she got there.
So there's people who actually go into buildings and do this elevator thing?
I think so. I'm pretty sure, just like anything else, you can find it on YouTube.
Wow.
But the police got a tip from her sister who said that she had bipolar disorder and sometimes she would act erratically if she hadn't been taking her medication. And among her belongings, they did find that her medication that was basically untouched. She hadn't really been taking it. And the autopsy report also showed that she didn't have any drugs in her system, no alcohol, and she had very little of the medications that she had been prescribed in her system. So more than likely, she was having a bipolar episode. Again, there's still unexplained things that happened. How did she end up there? How did she get it there without triggering an emergency alarm? That type of thing. And so people started looking into the history of the Cecil Hotel because it has a very sordid, dark history. Okay, so let's start back at the beginning. It was built in 1924 by 3 dudes, William Banks Hanner, Charles Dix, and Robert Shops. And they built it to be a premier destination for upper-class businessmen, social elite type people. International destination. It was built with full-on marble in the lobby. It's gorgeous if you see it. Everything. It's marble from floor to ceiling. It has stained glass windows and alabaster statues. There's palm trees and like big, huge, opulent staircases and railings. It looks like it was built in the 20s to be for upper class people. And for a little while it was. They had 700 rooms and 19 floors. Of course, it was labeled 20 because there's no 13th floor. Right? They all did that. 5 years after it was opened. Oh, and it cost $2.5 million to build, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Back in the 1920s.
Oh, wow.
Right? Within 5 years of its opening, it was the Great Depression. And so they kind of lost everything. The hotel kind of sank into disrepair, and there were over 10,000 people at one time living nearby. It kind of became part of Skid Row. And the hotel started to rent out rooms really cheaply, like for short-term stays or for long-term stays, kind of a hostel style, with some long-term tenants in cheap housing and some prostitutes plying their trade, people going in for affairs, drugs, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real nice. So this gorgeous hotel has turned super seedy. It was built in 1924, and the first documented suicide happened just 3 years later, January 22nd, 1927. A gentleman named Percy Ormond Cook, just 52, shot himself in the head in one of the rooms because, yeah, he and his wife had been having trouble, and he was trying to reconcile with her and so that he could be back and have a nice little family with her and his son, and she apparently said no, and he decided that was enough and killed himself.
Wow.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, just a few years later, in the 1930s alone, there were 6 reported suicides. Some people ingested poison caplets. There were people that shot themselves. In 1934, Army Sergeant Louis D. Borden slashed his own throat with a shaving razor.
Is there any consistency as to why?
Not really. This gentleman had left a lot of notes, and he was partly just concerned about his health, I guess, and didn't think he had long to live. So that's why he said he committed suicide. There are a lot of jumpers. One resident, Kenneth Givens, he used to live there at the Cecil. He said anything higher than the 6th floor was dangerous. And that back in the 80s, that it was basically, there were no laws. And the higher floors were where people would get killed. And obviously the higher floors were the ones where a lot of people would jump. So maybe that's the one consistent thing. I'm not sure. But yeah. So there was even in 1937, Roy Thompson, who had been in the Marine Corps, he jumped from the Cecil and was found on the skylight of another building. There were several women that jumped or were possibly pushed. March of 1938, Grace Magro, she fell. They're not sure if she jumped or if she pushed. And then, let's see. Oh, there's a couple of them where people weren't sure what happened. And so they're cited by as fell from building. So they're not ruled a suicide or a murder. They're not really sure. Let's see, there's Grace Margot, Robert Smith, Helen Gurney, Julia Francis Moore, Allison Lowell, and 2 unidentified men in 1992 and 2015. In 1962, a woman committing suicide actually took out another man, 65-year-old George Gianni, who was just walking by the Cecil, just having a good old afternoon stroll when Pauline Otten, 27, had jumped from her 9th floor room and landed on Otten. She'd been having an argument with her husband, and when he left the room, she jumped out the window.
And killed the guy she landed on?
She did. Police had originally thought that she and George had jumped out of the window together, but then they said that he was still wearing his shoes and his hands were in his pockets. And if he had jumped from the building, his shoes would have flown off of his feet in the fall.
He wouldn't have had his hands in his pockets.
And he wouldn't have had his, so they knew that he'd just been walking by. So she committed suicide and unfortunately killed someone when she did it.
Now there's some shitty luck. Just
right?
saying.
Another disturbing thing that happened at the Cecil Hotel was in 1944. And this was in September. And now, first of all, tell me when you spot the sick, twisted part. 19, 19-year-old Dorothy Jean Purcell woke up in the middle of the night. She wasn't feeling well. She had checked in that day to the Cecil Hotel with her boyfriend, Ben Levine, 38.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But she wakes up in the middle of the night. She's not feeling good and she decides to go to the bathroom. Maybe she just has to take a dump. She ate something bad or whatever. So she's on the toilet pushing when she realizes she just had a baby.
What? You always hear these stories. You always hear these stories. And I have had 2 children, and let me tell you, I don't get it.
Well, she's 19 with a 38-year-old dude. So let's just say that she's not thinking clearly and he's a fucking asshole.
Right?
So she has a baby to her complete shock. She thinks that the baby is dead and throws it out the window because she doesn't want to piss off the boyfriend.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Climbs back into bed like nothing is wrong. And then, of course, the next morning, he realizes something is up and she gets checked out and they find the baby on the roof and unfortunately he is deceased.
Oh, my God.
So, but she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. And so she's being taken care of. But that's just one of many disturbing stories in the Cecil Hotel.
That's crazy.
Right?
I mean, age aside, out the window?
Yeah. Yeah. There's just, I don't know.
It's a bad mojo house.
Bad mojo house. Very much so. So, yeah, every single room, every single floor has something. Now, amidst all of these suicides and people dying, there were 2, and this is someone I'll talk about later, but there were 2 serial killers that lived at the Cecil.
Oh.
In the 1980s, Richard Ramirez, he's also called the Night Stalker.
Oh, I might have heard of him, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was a serial killer in Los Angeles, and he stayed at the Cecil in the midst of his killing spree of 13 people.
So is there something about this house that brings out the shit in people?
I'm not sure. I don't know. It seems to be. Some people say that it's cursed. Some people say that Ramirez tapped into like the dark side of the Cecil, and he's a known Satanist. And there are theories that he kind of harnessed the dark energy that was just floating around the Cecil Hotel and actually summoned a demon.
Has there ever been any of like these professional paranormal groups
Many.
ever go there? What do they think?
They think it's haunted as fuck. And they do,
Nice.
Many of them do think that Ramirez either contributed to or harnessed some dark energy that was already there and made it even darker. I mean, there's people like us, just, fan type ghost
Right.
hunters that go. You can find
Right.
all sorts of, the YouTube people that go to haunted places, or podcasters like us. They're all over the place. People, it's so haunted and so creepy. And it's been well known for a while to be a very haunted place. But after 2013, because of poor Elisa Lam and all the conspiracy theories that were surrounding her and the hotel at the time, people really dug into and got interested in this place. And it's been featured on
Like Ghost
Hunters and the Travel Channel one, and
Yeah.
all of them. All the famous people have been there to do it. Let's see. Well, they've done a bunch of documentaries: Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel.
I just can't believe how many killers and crazies and psychos have actually stayed there.
Right. Let's see. Ghost Adventures has been there. Haunted History has been there. Anyway. And there's been a couple documentaries done on it as well, particularly focusing on Elisa Lam. But you can also see it featured in Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and the other serial killer, who was Jack Unterweger from Australia. He stayed there in the 90s, partly because he really liked the Night Stalker. He had a thing for Richard Ramirez. So he kind of wanted to stay in the same place Ramirez had stayed. And so he was there in the 90s, and he actually killed 3 sex workers while he was staying there. He was from Austria, and he came there to write a magazine piece about sex workers and just killed people. And apparently he had killed people before and gotten let out for good behavior, and then went on to kill like 11 more people. And he stayed at the Cecil. So a lot of people have been to these different rooms. Elisa's 2 rooms, room 506 and room 412. and Richard Ramirez's room 1419, which is actually on the 13th floor of the hotel that they call the 14th floor. And people have definitely felt different entities and demons in those areas.
Actual demons?
Some psychics say yes. Some psychics say just dark energy. They all agree that there are a lot of spirits there. People are just trapped. And one of the previous managers, she says that there were 911 calls every day. There were deaths in every room.
Really?
Yeah, Amy Price was the manager there for a long time, and she said in her tenure as the manager, there were over 80 deaths by suicide, murder, overdose, accident, 16 of which she says they're not sure how it happened or what happened, whether it was suicide, accidental, or murder.
Did it ever dawn on anybody to like stop spending the night there?
You'd think, but guess what they're making it into now, Chelle?
A haunted bed and breakfast.
Apartments! Woohoo!
Oh, it sounds like every asylum in the country.
Right, very much so. And it just seems to, just bad luck and bad news seems to cling to the place. Nobody could pinpoint any particular beginning as to why, but I mean, it was constructed, they spent a ton of money on it, and then immediately the depression happened, and immediately it started to have...
Could it be the land?
It could be. It's possible. I haven't seen anything to show what there could have been or what it, I mean, not to say that we just might not know, but for some reason that area seems to attract a lot of negative things, a lot of negative people.
Good.
Yeah, now they're turning it into 600 affordable residential apartments. Can you imagine being in an apartment, literally like a maintenance worker was showing someone around and just pointing, someone died here, someone died there, someone died in this room, someone died in that room, someone died in that hallway. Like everywhere you turn, pretty much every single room has had a serial killer stay in it or someone stay in it who has died by suicide. People, you can go see videos of people traveling in the elevator that poor Elisa Lam stayed in. And it's creepy. It's sad. It's just, I mean, there are some mysteries and some questions around her death, but that one was probably just an unfortunate accident. Very tragic, but the place that it happened in just makes all those little coincidences even more mysterious.
All the more coincidental.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you have someone like Richard Ramirez staying there, Chelle, one of the things I heard that you would not believe is that this place was so lawless, so wild. Everyone there was so brazen and so fucked up out of their minds that Ramirez would kill someone, be covered head to toe in blood, would go to the alleyway and strip off his clothes, and then walk upstairs to his room in just his bloody underwear, and no one batted an eyelash.
Wow.
He even, apparently, the room 1419 that people have done investigations in is the same room where he brought back the eyeballs of one of his victims.
Holy shit.
It's just, yeah.
So there's some bad mojo going on there, man.
There's a lot of bad mojo there, and people that go there feel it. There are ghosts and some psychics that have been there have felt different drug addicts and people. So many nameless people have just died there for all sorts of different reasons, in addition to the ones that we actually know who they are. So the places, there's ghosts everywhere. And if you stay there, you're going to see one or feel one, or they're going to talk to you.
And then, of course, all the serial killers who brought all their bad vibes with them.
Exactly, including one of them who may have done some satanic rituals and pulled in a demon.
Crazy.
So, yeah, wild. Do you want to go? Shall we go visit? Bring a Ouija board, maybe?
I am probably dumb enough that I would say, let's go check out this elevator game there.
You want to do the elevator game there?
I just want to know if it's real.
I don't know. I'm the person who can't say like that one name 3 times, or I don't like looking in the mirror doing
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Don't do it. Don't do that. This is like close enough to a mirror. What are you doing?
I'm that person. I am that person.
No, I was just gonna say I'm the one who can't do that, and you just did it right in front of my face. Oh my goodness, I'm so creeped out right now. Chelle.
Like, I would totally go do the elevator thing. Yeah.
Would you hold my hand?
I would. I would. I don't know. I wouldn't want to stay on a high level floor just in case. I'd want to
Right?
stay on like the first or second floor just in case.
Oh, right, right. No, we wouldn't stay on any floors over 6 because what if like the demon whispers to you, walk out the window. It's
Right?
okay. There's a bridge. Some demon's going to lie to your ass and you're going to end up 9 floors up like the Roadrunner with nothing underneath your feet.
I just want the demon to have the only option to say, go down to the bar. It's happy hour.
Weed is legal. Smoke in your room.
Right? Right? So yeah, I would definitely go and see if I find some portal to a different realm.
That would be interesting, and maybe we could solve some mysteries while we're there. So that's my spooky story, the Cecil Hotel.
We could be like the Scooby-Doo crew.
We could. We'll head on down to LA and we'll go check out the Cecil Hotel and we'll Scooby-Doo it up. We'll all have our little spirit boxes. I've been looking up online, Chelle, how to make a spirit box because I want to do this with you when I come out in October.
Oh my God, it's so easy. Did you find the directions?
I did. I'm so excited. So we're going to do some ghost hunting while we're there, right? At some of these haunted places.
You know what? They're going to just flock to us.
Yay, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. So not only are we going to talk about and visit these super spooky, historical, amazing places, but maybe we could even do some little seances or Ouija boards or spirit boxes, orb photos.
I got an orb photo taking a picture of the sun the other day in my freaking yard.
Chelle, you got to share that shit.
So like, this is so weird, So I saw, these things happen all the time around here. Speaking of like different entities, spirit boxes, like all the time in your peripheral vision, especially like later in the day, it's like all you see is these like black blobs all around the yard and down the street and in your neighbor's yard.
This is my not shocked face. Do you see my not shocked face? You
Yeah.
live in such an amazing, amazing, wonderful, magical, like that place is a lodestone. People have said it before. It draws energy there. I'm so not surprised.
But you really just feel like you see stuff in your peripherals all the time, whether you're home or walking down the street downtown. It's just constant.
I'm a little jealous. I mean, I walk down the street and I see, Brad Pitt. I see The Rock. I see.
And I get to see shadow figures and you get to see The Rock.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Is that like normal?
Yeah, all the time.
Really?
My kid sees people. She's gotten good at now. She rolls her eyes. She sees a famous person, and all the people go to like take their picture and want an autograph. And she's gotten really good at that. Like tourists.
Now I've gotten good at that here in Salem. I'm like, more people who like Hocus Pocus.
I'm one of those people. I can't wait to be a Hocus Pocus tourist in the city where Hocus Pocus was not filmed.
Well, I'll have to send you a picture that I took the other day while I was out walking during my lunch break because it was of the Ropes Mansion from Hocus Pocus, which is like a block away from my work.
How fun. How fun. So other than orb photos, I'm really looking forward to doing the tourist thing
Seeing
and
the
taking
shadow
some
people.
seeing shadow people, taking orb photos, taking pictures of all the cool buildings. Chelle, this is going to be amazing.
It's fun. It's fun. And, speaking of hauntings and ghostly figures, I got this weird story today.
Ooh.
The craziest places are haunted. We always talk about, hospitals and houses and cemeteries. This is a zoo.
It's a zoo. What is up with a haunted zoo? Is it haunted by an animal?
Partially.
Really?
Yeah. There are animal sightings there, specifically lions.
Animal ghost sightings.
Now, I happen to find out that the Lincoln Park Zoo is like the 7th oldest zoo in America.
Well, that makes sense.
You might say to yourself, why does anybody care? I care because where I'm from in good old Binghamton, New York, we have the 5th oldest zoo in America.
I did not know they had the 5th
Did you
oldest.
not know that?
I didn't. I knew it was an older one, but I didn't know it was the 5th oldest in America.
1865.
How fun.
So that was 1865. So this
So
Lincoln
maybe
Park,
that one's haunted too, if it's even older.
right? I'll have to send my children there to check it out for
That's right. They should go up to one of the wardens and be like, "Hi, is this zoo haunted? Because one that's a little bit younger is, and I need to know."
So where I'm from, Binghamton, New York, our zoo is 1865. This Lincoln Park Zoo, 1868. So it's only literally 3 years younger. This zoo was like meant to be like the thing that boosted Chicago into stardom back then, which then they had, the whole world, Chicago had the World's Fair and all of
Right.
that.
Late 1800s. I imagine a zoo would be a marvel.
Right. So they decided to get this zoo. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 56 acres. The problem is that 56 acres started out as a cemetery. It was the original Chicago cemetery.
The zoo started out as a cemetery. Did they just remove the headstones? Is this one of those situations where they only remove the headstones?
Partially.
No, no.
So
Why?
check this out. No, there's actually a good reason, kinda. So back in 1868-ish, around
They
that time,
hadn't seen Poltergeist yet. Okay.
hadn't seen Poltergeist yet. It once held the remains of 35,000 people.
Damn.
The cemetery was then closed when they decided to make the zoo. Thanks, guys. I'm sorry, I gotta go see my grandparents. They're over in the monkey section.
That's terrible.
So what they did is, okay, so 35,000 graves, you follow me?
I am.
So they decide they're going to move the graves. There's that, you're just moving these bodies here.
Did they have to get permission from like 35,000 families to do that?
I don't know if back in the 1800s, if they were really seeking out the permission.
Right. There probably weren't very many like cemetery rules then.
Yeah. So unfortunately, where a lot of the turmoil comes into play is, I'm sure you remember the Great Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
So on the night of the fire, they decide to abandon moving the bodies to go help with the fire. And the fire lasted however long. Fire's over. They go back and they can't find the freaking 12,000 bodies. Can't find them. They're like, oh shit, forgot where they were.
What?
And they're like, well, we forgot.
What?
Can't find them. Just start building the zoo.
No.
So
Hold on. So the Chicago fire was in 1871.
right.
And it was like 2 days. It burned for like 2-3 days.
So in that time, they forgot where 12,000 bodies were.
Did they probably get burned up in the fire?
No, they were buried underground.
So they just forgot in the area that got burned. They're like, I don't know where in this 2,000 burned acres.
No, it didn't even get burned. What happened was they were moving the bodies and all the people had to abandon the work to go help with the fire.
So they forgot where they were
working.
They forgot where they were working? So they'd already moved all the headstones.
They started with 35,000 and they were down to 12,000 left. Forgot where they had them.
Forgot where they were and decided to just leave it.
Fuck it, let's just start building the zoo. We can't find them.
Somewhere in the acreage of the zoo, you said it was like 56 acres or something.
12,000 bodies.
There's 12,000 bodies still buried.
Under the zoo.
They just moved the headstones.
So that's what started it.
That's some bad mojo right there. That's bad stuff. You don't do that.
Well, and then you figure you got prohibition going on. You're in Chicago, Al Capone's town. There were some murders in the zoo and in the park, and there you are supposedly able to hear faux gunshots and screams.
Can you imagine being in a gangster showdown with Al Capone and hey, you get out from behind the elephant cage? I don't know. And then they have a shootout over by the zebras or something. Like, why were they? Why? I don't understand. Was it one of those places where where they ran alcohol through there or something?
Actually, yep. They actually were.
Really?
Yeah. There were places where they were hiding alcohol in the zoo.
Of course. Even the zoo is not immune to this.
But here's the other
mob.
So here's the other fucked up thing. Throughout the years, as they were doing random different construction projects, all of a sudden they'd start exhuming bodies. And some of them, they would just find a different hole in the ground and shove them back in there.
You're joking. That's
wish I
awful.
was.
Why would
I
they
wish
do
I
that?
So the bodies were basically put back and buildings built over top of them.
So these ancestors are dug up and disturbed in the worst way, not even nicely.
And then shoved back in.
And then
had
rudely
building
shoved
over.
back in.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not a Christian burial kind of girl, but that's
Jesus.
not good. That's bad energy right there. You don't fuck with dead people.
So, you know, obviously, as you can imagine, the typical flickering lights, door slamming. There's been various EVPs caught there. The voice of an old zoo director. One of the old zoo directors was eaten by something. I would have presumed
Ew, a lion, maybe?
Never left. Still comes to work every day.
Those tape ghosts. Those are scary. I really would not want to go to work every day for eternity.
There's also what people describe as a floating pocket of negative energy that makes people physically sick, and it moves throughout the park.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, with all the ancestors there and all the grave robbing, moving energy, you know, that would make sense that negative energy kind of like swirls around around the park.
Full body apparitions seen in Victorian period clothing.
Good shit.
So also kind of the additive to this is right next to the zoo, it's built up against a lagoon.
Okay.
And they had built a bridge that crossed this lagoon. The bridge was originally, I don't even remember what it was called. It had its own name. And it was dubbed the Suicide Bridge. Like, if that just doesn't tell you how horrible it was.
It sounds horrible.
But it was a pedestrian bridge. It wasn't like for cars. It was just like a walking bridge. And they built that in like 1894. It was just a popular place for people to just take the plunge. They only let it stay up for 25 years before they tore it down. But in that 25 years, they believe 100 people had jumped.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. I wonder if the negative energy that was swirling around near the zoo kind of extended to that area.
And it was a 75-foot tall bridge. So basically what it did was it connected the zoo to like across the lakefront.
Mm-hmm.
People would just jump off it. So between the land and then the people like intentionally ending their lives on this bridge. Like they even in 1907 talk about two sisters aged 10 and 12 that they're not sure if they fell off the bridge or jumped off the bridge.
Oh, those poor babies. Yep. No, I bet they fell. Those poor things.
And probably at 10 and 12, they probably did fall. And at 75 feet, that's like 4 stories.
Oh, no. Oh, that's awful.
They found the body of a man who was known to walk the Lincoln Park every day in the lagoon. They thought that he had actually tried to go in and save the girls. Like, just bad stuff.
Okay, side tangent because I'm high on my own stash here. But back in the day, my family used to go camping a lot. And there was this one campground near a lake. I don't even remember where it was. And they had this bridge that we as kids used to like fucking run across. And all it was these 2 huge round metal pipes, right? That ran from one side of the gorge to the other. That's it. There was no platform. There were no...
And you called it a bridge?
There were no railings. There was no nothing. And at its deepest point, it was probably a good 50, 60 feet deep. And it was probably 30, 40 feet across. And we would literally run across this and we would pretend to push each other off. We would like play on the top of it. I don't know what the fuck we were thinking, but one wrong move and somebody could fall and die.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry. That's all I could think of was 10 and 12-year-old kids, was me and my brothers running on this stupid bridge that I have no idea why 80s parents let any of us do any of the shit that we did. But it's a miracle we're alive. Anyway, sorry. Tangent over.
Basically, supposedly zoo employees have heard sounds of young girls crying late at night near the site of the bridge.
Oh, those poor babies. They probably just want to go home.
To the point where one woman was said to have quit her job at the zoo because of it.
That would break me. I would not be able to handle that.
I mean, to hear that crying every single night, she just couldn't anymore and just quit, literally quit.
No, I would too. That I have two girls. You have a girl. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. And I mean, there are people that would kind of perpetuate the anxiety of the bridge. You know, it attracted weirdos.
Oh, of course, of course. That type of energy always does.
One elderly woman was known to go there daily to get as drunk as humanly possible. Another man would often go and whistle at the moon in a strange, eerie tone that scared the heck out of the cops.
Oh, wow. Creepy.
Well, you know, and you got to remember, this was the early 1900s. So, you know, everybody was kind of superstitious about it and dubbed it Suicide Bridge.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if would you walk over it if that's what people are calling it? I don't know.
Not alone, probably. Probably not alone, because it sounds like it's one of those places, kind of like the Cecil. And we've talked about other places where negative energy swirls there so much. You have to wonder sometimes if people aren't, like a lot of these deaths, they don't know if it was suicide or murder or an accident. And I imagine it's the same thing on the bridge. What if it's this negative energy, like doing something, like whispering things to people or actually pushing people?
But back at the zoo, there's one woman, female apparition, that they always spot near the lion house walking around. Sometimes people think it's a real person.
Those are my favorite ghost sightings.
Well, right?
Where someone will go up to be like, oh, hey, I saw this person doing whatever. And they're like, oh, no, that's a ghost. Everyone sees them. I love those.
Yeah. But they also find her in the ladies' restroom near that lion exhibit.
Like Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah, Moaning Myrtle. People have seen her her reflection in the bathroom mirror in there.
Oh, I hate that. No.
And again, flickering lights, doors slamming in the restroom. So they feel that maybe she had some sort of, that maybe her demise had something to do with that lion area. So
hey, it sounds like at least one person is known to have been eaten. So.
And you gotta remember, when you're talking about like zoos in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the level of safety, like they didn't have OSHA.
Right. Like they're not going to have like the guidelines.
So, you know, a lot of people back then, and even, you know, we were talking about the zoo in Binghamton, Ross Park. There was even stories about folks getting eaten by lions there. Like,
no shit.
Yeah, actually. Getting eaten by a lion at a zoo in that time period was sadly more common than you'd think.
Well, I would, like you said, there were mobsters. This is Chicago in the 20s. And I imagine they fed people to the lions on more than one occasion. I would put it past them.
Right? You know, in my personal opinion, the biggest issue with this is that you built a zoo over 12,000 bodies, you dumbasses.
That is their first fucking problem right there. Why didn't someone decide that that was a bad idea? Okay, they still hadn't seen Poltergeist yet, but still, they should have known.
It was all about money. It was all about money back then.
Yeah.
Late 1800s in Chicago, they were trying to make a name for themselves.
They had enough of those like mediums and like ghostly seance things going on at the time. They should have known. Somebody should have told them, but I guess not.
I would really love to go to a haunted zoo.
Me too. I want to go to a haunted zoo and like see if we can hear ghostly lions or see ghostly lions.
People have said that they've heard animals that aren't there, but really the most of the ghosties are people.
Interesting.
There are people that said that some of the animal noises that they've heard were just people kind of making it up. It's not verified by the people because it's, how are you going to see a ghosty lion? But there are people who claim they're there.
Interestingly, of animal sightings, I tend to hear of cats more often than any other animal being a ghost. So I wouldn't be surprised if lions were seen or heard as a ghost. I don't know, only because I've heard of cat ghosts more than any others.
But what I don't understand is like they were one of the first zoos to get like elephants and stuff. But like all of the activity seems to go like more around the lions' cages.
I wonder if that's where the bodies are.
That could be.
Maybe that's where the bodies are buried.
That could be. I just didn't know if it was because cats were more psychically sensitive.
Maybe that's true too. Oh gosh, I didn't think of that. Maybe.
but yeah, it just seems that a lot of the weirdness is in the surrounding area of where the cats are. The
Interesting.
lions, dens, the tigers, lions, tigers, bears.
I want to go. I want to bring some ghost hunting supplies. Are,
No, they do ghost tours here.
yay! Probably in October.
You can actually, I believe it's all year round.
Really? How fun.
So yeah, you can actually go and you can do a tour of the Lincoln Park Zoo, and they give you, the tour guides give you their version and of what's been going on there and different things that they may have experienced doing their tours and that they've heard through the pass down of info. So yeah, that would actually be a cool thing to get into one of those tours.
That would be
It's
super
on
cool.
it's on the list of top 10 haunted locations in the Chicago area. Because looking into this, I actually found out there's a shit ton of haunted locations in Chicago.
I'm not surprised. Chicago has a history. We should
Yeah.
talk about it. I bet they've got some cool ones too.
They do, and some of them are gangster related. So
Oh, fun.
we
I
might
love
have
that time period.
we might have to delve into some of those in future episodes. But yeah, so this zoo was on the list of top 10 haunted Chicago locales.
Oh, very cool. So that's a lot of stuff, Chelle. I like your couple different haunted locations. We've got your zoo and bridge and my Cecil Hotel in LA, which is scary enough as it is.
It's just so interesting that there's just, it's like you look up one story and it takes you down a rabbit hole of all these different experiences and hauntings and sightings and EVPs and photos. Like the rabbit hole is just sometimes the best part of this.
It really is. And I love learning about all these different places and the history and, just so many cool
And the
things.
similarities to some of these places.
Yeah, the stories that are the same, like the lady in white, they're so intriguing.
Even the cryptids. Some of the cryptids have similar traits, similar. I don't want to call them personalities. I don't know the right word. But like they have a lot of similarities, and it's just very interesting to see how every town, every city, every state thinks they're the only one.
Yeah, there's the gates to hell everywhere. There's the most haunted. Yeah, there's the most haunted everywhere. And these stories are so similar and yet so different. And it's neat to see the cultural influences and the time period influences and how things change. And it's just, I don't know, I'm loving it. I'm still having a ton of fun. How about you, Chelle?
I can't run out of stories. That's
Me either. I cannot
run
wait.
out of stories.
Next week, I already have a haunting lined up for you. I am so stoked for this one because I wanted to stay in kind of the haunting zone, and I have found
We're getting to haunty season,
right. It's just so exciting, and I found a haunted Irish pub.
Ooh,
yes.
Ooh.
So we're going to talk about that, and it has a link to a serial killer from back in the day.
Love your serial killers.
I do, but that was a complete accident. I went looking for a haunted place. I found a haunted Irish pub that used to be a mortuary, like the first one in the country, I may add.
Oh, wow.
And it just so happens to have a serial killer chick. How rare are they?
Actually, they're very rare.
Like you said, rabbit hole. I went researching this one thing, and I found a serial killer. Who would have thought?
You probably would have thought.
I probably would have. I would. Because people suck. And anywhere you look, there's just bad people. Behind all these hauntings are bad people.
And serial killers.
And serial killers. Yeah. But, I've got good weed. You've got good weed. And we've got each other, Chelle.
And snacks.
Oh, snacks. I think I'm going to have some. All right. I'm going to have some snacks. I hope everyone enjoyed our stories tonight for episode 32 of the Stoned Witches Hour. Join us next week on Wednesday at the Witching Hour for episode 33, where
God.
Yeah, where we go down even more spooky rabbit holes, find even more ghosty similarities, and find out how a haunted Irish pub is related to the first mortuary in the US and a lady serial killer.
And I'm going to make you wait for my story. Why? Because I can.
Ooh, because she's Chelle, and she's high, and she's spooky, and she's going to have you on pins and needles for a whole week.
Yeah, she's got the munchies. Let's be real.
Oh, yeah. So let's get the fuck out of here and get something to eat.
All right. I'm hungry. I got to go.
All right. Stay high.